Hello everyone. In this video, I would like to talk about how Black AF is honestly legit a black show, and on top of that, how it doesn't condole or create some type of whitewashing. For one, the reason why I strongly say it doesn't create whitewashing is because of the fact of, well, honestly, I gotta bring this up as a concept. We as Black people, we always give respect to February because it's a month where we respect Black history and what we as Black people created, whether it be modernized stuff. Like for example, for me personally, me as a Blerd or as a Black nerd, someone who likes animation and etc., I always like look at different types of anime or animation that's been created that has black characters. While also I also look into other stuff like civil rights movements to also just individuals who have accomplished great things. Well, in the show Black AF, they honestly like talk about the whole concept of another day, which is Independence Day. But guess what they do with Independence Day? They don't like condole and celebrate Independence Day on a black as a black and white day. No, they respect Independence Day as Juneteenth. They honestly give independent like more respect to their true Independence Day or our true Independence Day as Juneteenth. Long story short, because for us Black people, that's where our true independence come from is Juneteenth. And just like with February being fought for as a month of reverence and respect to Black history, is the same thing with Juneteenth. I can strongly say and argue because, long story short, us Black people ain't had nothing. We ain't had nothing in history until whether or not we fought for it or individuals who have fought for our rights and fought for things that we have like honestly have respect for or honestly have some type of enjoyment of like just basically experiencing and having fun as well too, because shoot, when you get woke, especially as a Black person, you rather like give more respect to our culture versus like something that's been just created for you to honestly always be just what's the word celebrating over and over again. In a way, I feel like that's whitewashing in a sense. I mean, arguably yes, in that way it is whitewashing. That and another form of whitewashing is something where you always displaying the fact of like an ideology in a way, or ideally, you're honestly displaying the fact of Black people will never be better or never like honestly step up to nothing and etc. They're always going to be the same thing stereotypically, whether it be honestly a roughneck or just someone who does drugs, just other type of stereotypes. And we're always like held down towards that when it comes to society. That's why I feel like when the father brought up the whole concept of white gazing, that's honestly a way of just displaying Black wokeness of, yeah, honestly, you have that out there a lot. And just to make a reference to my review of Black AF, it's like the whole argument or the whole comparison with me bringing up the fact of you look at the old show like Fresh Prince of Bel Air and the first episode of Black AF when the father was judged by his like associate or friend that was white at some restaurant with his wife. He was saying the white dude was saying that basically, oh, you're with your wife and stuff at this restaurant. And then when they were about to leave, he noticed that the father had like a sports car, long story short. And he's going to point out that, oh, you have a sports car and everything. And then the father is saying to his wife that, you see how he was looking at me while he like slowly learned that I had like a new car, new sports car on top of that. And then I don't know. He also pointed out the fact that it's just that he was saying that he had some type of vibe from him, a vibe of just some type of judgment. which ergo comes from white gazing, where it's like you can't. It feels like you can't be black and have nice things, or you can't be black and elevate better than like anything else where we always depict it as or either displayed and etc. And it's just mm. Hold on a second. Another like type of argument that I would say about honestly just whitewashing itself is just long story short, it's just well, it's not the fact of trying to point out that black people can be better, honestly. It's not like how Black AF is doing it. Black AF, I feel like it's just trying to prove, honestly, and I just said just now, it's just that black people can do better and can honestly just be depicted better than how they normally are, as always, like whether it be the fact that we always deal with drugs or either we honestly do other things when it comes to trying to make a come up or making a bag or becoming successful. Versus this family, they have become successful by honestly learning how to utilize their talents in resourceful and unique ways. And that's made them even better. The father honestly is a filmmaker and he honestly has like some type of like flourishing type of business to where he made different types of projects, whether it be the project with the Blackish series or all the whole Ish series as a whole. He honestly made this show. He somewhat kind of made this show in a sense, and he makes some like mad bank off of it. I mean, he's living good and etc. Then on top of that, the mom is like a lawyer. She practices like the craftsmanship of lawyering and how to become a proper lawyer. And then on top of that, their kids either is trying to get educated or trying to get into colleges and stuff. Long story short, it's just displaying more of just black productivity and how we can create some type of black excellence. It's similar if I had to make a compare and contrast to stuff like what we're used to, like whether it be Family Matters or Fresh Prince of Bel Air or even the Cosby Show, because all three of those shows, it's like even though there has been some episodes to where the kids probably did something wild out or either made some type of small like small judgments here and there, they still in the end of the day still flourished. Long story short, out of like the series, and on top of that, like display themselves as slowly becoming better black people, like as time progresses and stuff, whether it be like going to college or either just honestly trying to do the best they can to become more successful in their own ways. And it's the same thing with them as with Black AF. It's just the same mirror in a sense. Because shoot, look at the daughter with the show in general altogether. She honestly wants to go into college to be in the filmmaking branch or just filmmaking in general, and she making this whole like documentary of her black family and how they are and etc. That and another thing now I would like to talk about when it comes to the topic of whitewashing is long story short, it's like the other episode to where like honestly the main daughter who's making this series, her other sisters are on like Instagram or on some type of social media where they're twerking and stuff and just shaking their butts and etc. Either just dancing in some type of way just to get views and etc. I will admit this, yes, as a millennial and as like someone in a different generation, we can like have some type of success out of popularity and honestly getting likes and etc. and some type of following, and slowly it can somehow like create some type of funding, whether it be through patronage, just various of things that popularity can come out of when being successful and just getting bank off of that. Yes, you can do that, but at the same time, it's like that's a form. To me, I feel like that's a form of whitewashing because honestly, white people always see us as like we can't like elevate more than like either like honestly what we're worth, whether it be in a sexual way or either whether it be to like honestly some type of negative representation of us. It's just various type of things. Another piece of evidence when it comes to like honestly just the show being self woke and honestly making an argument out of something, it would be just that one episode where like the same daughter who condole like dancing a little bit on like social media. It was another episode where she was at the club and then the father like checked her at the club a little bit, saying, "Why are you dressed like this?" and etc. At this club, and then like even though it's kind of messed up arguably, it's still the fact of this is where I say they had some type of self black wokeness where they make an argument of if let alone God forbid a white person or either somebody else looks at a black girl and sees them dressed a certain type of way, then everybody going to be all up in arms or either argue about something. And then the conversation even goes even deeper when like this girl slash his daughter basically makes an argument of, look, if Michelle and Barack Obama's daughters was like this, then it's the same thing or it's something else to where it's a bigger spectacle. And then the father just steps in and say, you actually like somewhat compared yourself to Barack Obama and Michelle Obama's daughters and stuff. And she just kind of gave a grin. I guess that kind of confirmation of she kind of does in a sense. And again, that's kind of so that's that type of conversation is kind of like self wokeness of just black self wokeness in a way. Yes, argumentatively, like there is some type of argument with what was going on there. It's still the fact of it's black self wokeness of we're always being like watched and always being some type of judgment towards like just white people and whatever. And that's why the first episode there was self like established of the whole terminology of white gazing altogether. And I feel like white gazing as a whole is whitewashing in a sense because again, it's just basically other people, mainly white people, especially just looking at us and be like, "Oh, you this and that," or this that and the dirt. That's just basically either a banger, either someone who does drugs, just different things and whatever. Just assumes the worst at first. Another type of like whitewashing, long story short, I feel would be just honestly, long story short, just basically like not giving credibility towards black people altogether. Not giving credibility of we can do better, not giving credibility of like we can honestly create something way more productive. And if I had to like elevate this argument, it would be kind of like the whole concept of Black Panther. Out of all America in general, alone as a nation, like basically mainly all black people, especially the black community as a whole, ran and watched Black Panther and enjoyed it. And I can arguably say Black Panther is honestly a play on words. Is like a black Superman to us, not only literally in a fictional way to where oh we have our first black superhero on big screen. No, it's also the fact of it's positive representation for us as well too. And the whole movie kind of shows black representation as a whole as well in different ways. And that's a whole nother argument even in this video to where black people doesn't always have to be just like measured towards like I don't know violence or either just the whole stereotypical thing. Like a good example would be like the old Martin show back in the day. It doesn't have to be like all black people have to be roughneck or all black people have to be ratchet or have some type of ratchet tendencies. No, nor we don't have to like accept it or want that. That's just regressing. And in a way, that's whitewashing itself to where we became whitewashed to the point where we're used to ratchetness and wanting it, or either just be like, it's not black enough because it doesn't talk about the streets of what goes down in the streets or the drama in the streets or baby mamas and stuff. Just ratchet, like disgusting stuff. Like, no, we don't always have to be used to that. We can honestly do better and create better. In a way, Black Panther shows that. Another good example in Black Panther as a whole is characters like Shuri. Shuri is like an example where it's like you have not only great resources out of one nation, Wakanda, which is a representation of Africa, but also a representation where like you have technology, you have like resources and technology to where you can heal people and just do different things with your technology. And Siri is like representation of a smart, progressive, woke black woman. And I feel like in a way the show kind of shows that as well too, because honestly the show kind of like points out things like why do we have to be like this, or like why do we have to just accept just any like black content and not want it to be better and stuff and elevate more or have some type of positive message to where like we could do better and stuff, just stuff like that. That the show does that from time to time. And yeah, make that as an argument. Another bigger argument that I had to say with well on Black Panther would be just if you look at Black Panther as a whole, that alone, before I even make like a small reference to DC Universe, again, Black Panther alone as a hero, he's like our black Superman in the sense. And then you make a small reference to like DC, literally Superman himself. It's like, yeah, everybody like in a way kind of all on Superman's cape saying that yeah, he can do things. He can like honestly save us. And honestly, you look back at like Black Panther again and then look at that and then you make like one other like reference to again like DC Universe and Superman when Superman in his movie basically had to fight Doomsday and then he died. And then on top of that, it's like Darkseid possibly is coming in the Justice League movie. You slowly learn that the Justice League, well, how to say this? For one, Superman wasn't enough. Superman wasn't enough to where like they needed someone to fight back Darkseid's like forces. So that's how they formed the Justice League. And why I'm making Justice League reference from the movie is back to like honestly Black Panther being one strong pillar for Black foundation as a whole or our Black culture. Not one pillar can't always hold one foundation or one thing. There has to be other pillars to actually hold one foundation or one culture as well too. And in a way, DC Universe kind of like showed that in the Justice League movie. And like and why I make these like references is because of the fact of Black AF I can strongly say for what it tries to, give to the table is just black people can be smarter and on top of that can honestly be successful and do better and etc. And arguably even though it's just a show, it's just the fact of it's a positive show to where you have a black family flexing and trying to like do better and etc. Now, if other like people, especially in the black community, going to try and argue, be like, there's no representation of us that much in other ways. My argument would be just the fact of, look, even on like an everyday basis of what you see in black culture every day, whether, it be like drama or like drug drama or street drama, it'd be just the fact of you see that on an everyday basis. Honestly, look even inside deeper within the everyday basis of black culture itself on that level. It doesn't always just stop there. There's actually like other black people that are Christians or like strongly like basically in Christianity. There's also like black people to where they believe in like doing like basically street violence on purpose. There's also other black people to where like they don't want to like go stoop low, but they just want to just basically like climb to success and thirst for success. Long story short, it's just me pointing out that look, even though Black AF is either a suburban like area based place or either it's just like like successful like neighborhood like area, it's just like just some type of representation pointing out that no, black like the black community and the black culture itself doesn't always just have to stop at one thing or some type of particular attributes and just be how should I say this? Just be satisfied with just this one thing. It doesn't have to just stop at having satisfaction. Am I bad for like taking a breath for a second? It's just I needed to think real quick and just honestly clear my throat a little bit because it'd be rough sometimes. My throat be be a little dry sometimes without water. You need to drink water, be hydrated all the time. But aside from that, it's just like black culture doesn't have to always stop at one thing. It doesn't always have to stop there. Black culture can honestly spread out even more and more. Shoot, look at me as an example in general as an individual. I call myself a black nerd of Blerd, and the whole terminology of Blerd, I feel like started around like 2017 or 18 or so, and then just kept on going more and more up to 2020 barely. The only reason why I say barely is because well, this whole situation is going on, and like cons are getting like shut down and dropping like flies like 24/7. But yeah, that's just my case. Another thing that I had to talk about when it comes to this would be just the fact of again the whole Martin Lawrence thing when I had to point out like weaknesses of it. Not every black person has to be roughneck like Martin. Not every black person has to be like ratchet in any type of way like the other characters. Like black people can be black people their own way or have some type of differences with themselves that or want different things. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's why I strongly say that this show Black AF is not whitewashed because of their success. If anything, that's just them trying to climb. And then on top of that, if I had to say something else about whitewashing, the true source of whitewashing is basically where like you have the whole ideology of white gazing and then you compare it to Jim Crow. And even the father in Black AF kind of brings it up in one episode when talking to Tyler Perry, saying that, well, my mom came from like the South where, Jim Crow kind of was involved. He trying to, like point out the fact that Jim Crow ideology was manifesting kind of strongly there in the South. And that as an ideal is just a messed up ideal. And I feel like whitewashing is not just per se, it doesn't like per se like try to make you mold you or either try to push you physically to be something different. No, it's a form of oppression in a way. Whitewashing is literally like a form of oppression where it's like you're saying that this one group can't like elevate more than what it can be or it can't like obtain certain riches and certain like wealthness in different ways no matter how like smart or how like hard that they try to work for certain things. And I feel like that's what the show honestly negates is whitewashes. I feel like it negates whitewashes altogether because they want better and they just strive better and stuff and want to thrive, not always like just basically like copy or just rinse and repeat of what other like basically what other black people are always depicted of doing all the time when that's not even the case all the time and just trying to prove that we can do better and just honestly just improve and etc as a culture. Another thing I have to talk about when it comes to whitewashing is I feel like, and I feel bad that I went this far, but I'm going to try and end this pretty soon. But it's just, long story short, the word whitewash, and especially us talking about this show being whitewashed, I feel like we just welcoming Kanye's statement of like, oh, well, oppression. I'm not going to say the whole like statement, but his whole statement of oppression is like oppression is basically like a choice, and I don't know. It's just a disgusting term, and it's a disgusting statement. Long story short, and is all and is what Kanye brought him down low, but I will beg to differ though. I feel like we accept Kanye's statement of oppression being a choice because of the fact that we're saying this show is basically whitewashed when it's not. Honestly, it strongly isn't not whitewashed. And it doesn't like try to condole some type of stereotype or have some type of drama or anything like that, and to trying to move away from it. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with that because we can do better and develop and elevate better, and that's what the show is trying to display in its own unique way. And that's why I strongly say, like, that statement with Kanye and then bring a whitewash, it goes hand in hand because again, whitewashing doesn't whitewashing and honestly oppression, just the word oppression and oppression itself doesn't just stop for like physical oppression or just honestly like making someone do certain things or chores and tasks and stuff. It doesn't just stop there physically. It can also go on to be an ideology, and killing off an ideology is hard. Everyday life is always just you hear something on social media or on the news talking about somebody either has some type of hate crime or either said something racist or questionably racist. Then on top of that, you even have hate groups like neo Nazis or you just Nazis coming back, and then on top of that, you also have KKK possibly hiding here and there in like concealed places. It's just it's just a whole bucket full of crap, honestly, when it comes to like just the ideology of those type of groups and them type of groups still kind of being alive in the sense kind of shows my point of whitewashing is more just of oppression, or oppression is more than just you forcing people, but it's also it comes up to being ideal as well too. It comes with being an ideology of one race just being inferior all the time, always just bringing them down, whether it be physically or mentally. But yeah, that's my whole video. Please leave a like if you like this video. Please sub if you enjoyed this or my other videos. Oh, and also another thing that I would like to say when it comes to this video, this last comment before I log off. It would be just the fact of, well, there's nothing wrong with change. Strongly, I feel like there's nothing wrong with change. The only reason why I say there's nothing wrong with change is because the fact that we as the black culture we don't have much, and honestly, whether you honestly been to school or you learn stuff in your own ways of like black culture and just black history. So we never had much. We never had. And we always had to fight for something because we always been looked down on and always just underestimated. But thank you for watching if you watched this whole video. And also, please have a good day and bye.